No, we're
Yes, we are recording live for our Thursday tax roundup. We have our special guest here, Kim, and we have Sean back here as always behind the camera. Sean, tell us what happened this week that our clients might care about.
So there was an update on the Airbnb ban in New York. Facebook lost a lot of money. They tanked.
Okay.
Two of the biggest things I would say in this week's news.
Two big things. And the first one, the Airbnb ban, kind of a misnomer. It's the same rule has been in effect, which is that you can't rent your place out without actually being there.
Right. For under 30 days.
For under 30 days. So short-term rentals doesn't really work. All of New York State, but New York City shook things up by doing what?
They've threatened to implement some fines. You could be fined up to $2,500 a day for.
Is that a tax or is a fine a tax?
Fine is definitely not a tax.
No, I would say
fine is not a tax. Is it deductible? Is it fine?
I would think
fines are not deductible, guys. That's the headline. That wasn't a joke.
So is it the whole state of New York?
The whole state of New York has had this ban since 2014, I believe. But New York City was like, no one's complying.
I was thinking, none of our clients comply with that ban.
Yeah. We're not, we don't disclose private information. It's a serious point. But yeah, we've got tons of clients in New York City who have been operating non-state compliant. And New York City's basically coming out enforcing, it's really an enforcement measure, right? To kind of come after these. So what's the news in New York City?
And now some of them, if you want to host, you might have to get like a special permit just to be a host. And the city wants to put together some sort of database to have every Airbnb update every host's name and address on this database so you can track everything.
That's the punchline. If you're a host in New York City, your name and address will be in a database that Airbnb has to provide to the city.
Right.
Airbnb has not done what's that?
Will they come like knock on your door and say, "Hey, is the host here?" Like, how are they going to implement that?
Good.
I don't know, but exactly, they're gonna be able to knock on doors here, ask for the host because they technically have to be there during the stay.
Yeah.
So, client who has a studio apartment in New York City that rents it out might have to figure out how to be there during the rental. Don't know. But we don't encourage clients to like break the rules.
Right.
No, we encourage them to be a little bit more creative, I think.
Yeah. So if you're a New York City host,
get creative.
Let us know. Airbnb remains to be, I think, one of the best tax strategies around for having a loss against ordinary wages.
If my daughter was here, she'd say, comment below on creative strategies, right?
I love that. Okay, so that's big news. $2,500 per day. Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's an article about a couple that has like over $1 million in fees. $1 million. So it's really serious.
Which isn't deductible, we established earlier.
Which is not deductible. Right. You still have to pay taxes on all the net income, right? Yeah. Unless you transfer those funds to an account in Panama. It's brilliant. All right, so there's a strategy there. Hit us up if you want to get into that one. Panama's a great place for tax strategy. News number 2, Facebook lost $124 billion. You just posted on Facebook? Did you?
I definitely did.
You definitely did. Sean, you're 22?
Yeah.
Did you post on Facebook today?
I haven't. Not in a
a
little while, actually.
When was the last time you posted on Facebook?
Probably 2016.
2016.
Literally.
That's right.
Yeah. Which is interesting because they're saying young people are getting off Facebook because like all these old people are on it now and they're being supervised by their parents. I wasn't looking at you.
Yo, you gotta take that back.
I'm sorry, Kim.
That's right.
27 is not old.
20? You're 27?
Yeah.
Happy birthday. He was 26 until right now.
Just then.
Yeah. For 5 years.
Whatever.
So, big news: Facebook lost 124 billion. Zuck lost 17 billion of that. Price went from 217 to 176.
Personal net worth down by $17 billion. He's no longer in the top 10 richest in America.
He's not.
Like, what are you doing at that point?
I don't know how he's going to sleep tonight.
I wouldn't.
But I think it's going to be okay. Why is that tax news? I think it's, if you do sell out of this position, using capital gains is, one thing you should be aware of, right? And the thing with capital gains is, it only makes sense to use a capital loss if you have passive income, right? So for those who have passive income on a long-term property or something like that, realizing a loss, if you want to get out of Facebook, if you think it's completely going to tank, is not a bad strategy, right? You take money off the table. Okay, you've realized the loss, you're not playing the long game, but you can use those losses against your other income, which will save you taxes. So if you want to get out of a bad position, nothing wrong with that. That's a tax strategy too.
So you
What are the limits on how much you can take on a loss?
You tell me.
Isn't it $3,000?
So that is against that. So that is on other income.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you have passive gains in excess of that loss,
then you can take
use the whole loss.
But you can only use it on earned income, only $3,000.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So if you're trying to write off your capital gains loss off of your W-2, you can only do up to $3,000. The rest you carry forward. By the way, if you have capital loss from last year, make sure that your tax accountant is carrying anything above $3,000 over to this year's. But if you have passive gains, so say you've got a lot of passive income, you can write off the whole loss against passive. So just something to note. Great point. So there you have it. Two big things today. Airbnb is under a microscope. I think a lot of people are talking about New York City. Who funded that campaign? It looks like it was just the hotel lobby. But if you read what people are saying, it's that Airbnb is raising rents, it's taking properties off the market, which on the margins is true, but I think anyone who's looking at raising rents in New York City, it's pretty comparable to other major metropolitan areas, absent the Airbnb factor. So if you are, definitely start thinking about how to strategize around that and get smart on making sure that you don't get stuck with the big fine. All right. Well, there you have it. We'll see you next week.